It was beautiful, right? It was good. It was. He walked in and we put on his music, right? It was great. Great guy. He's coming December 5th to perform at the White House for some of the people. If the cabinet members are good, if they're doing a good job, we'll let them come along with some others, right? We're going to have a good time. December 5th. Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor to be with a very strong leader, a man who has been through a lot, and a man who I've gotten to know very well, and we've gotten along really very well. And we had a big call yesterday, as you know, with President Putin, and we'll be talking about it. President Zelensky of Ukraine has endured a lot. I mean, he really has. He's endured a lot. And we've endured it with him, to be honest. It's been a long time, and I think we're making great progress. So we're going to be talking about that today. We'll be talking about what took place yesterday with my phone call with President Putin. And I think that things are coming along pretty well. It began with Alaska, where I think certain guidelines were discussed, and we want to see if we can get this done. This was long ago into the Biden administration. I came here and we inherited this, and we'd like to see if we could finish it, end it. We want it ended. So many people have died in this war, and we're going to get it ended. So I just want to thank you all very much. If you have a couple of questions, go ahead, please. In fact, before I do that, let me just ask the President to say a few words. Thank you, President.
Primeiramente, eu gostaria de pedir ao presidente
thank you very much for the invitation. Again, my congratulations with your successful ceasefire in the Middle East.
Parabéns.
Yeah, and you did it. And I think this is the momentum to finish Russia's war against Ukraine. I think that we understand that Putin is not ready. I think not ready, but I think that I'm confident that with your help we can stop this war. And we really need it. We see that they don't have successful steps on the battlefield, and it's good. I think that their army is weak now. But a lot of losses. They have a lot of losses.
E as nossas forças armadas agora
and I think this is a very important moment. And I wanted to thank you, Mr. President, after our phone calls. Yesterday I had a good opportunity to meet with the big American energy companies. They're ready to help us. Yes, after all these attacks on our infrastructure, Russian attacks, and I had also meetings, thanks to your team. We had meetings with good military companies. We spoke about air defense, and I want to share it after with details where we are. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And I think it looks beautiful in his jacket.
Yeah?
It's a beautiful. I hope people notice. It's a good. It's actually very stylish. I like it.
Yeah,
please go ahead.
É muito estiloso. Eu gosto. Muito obrigado.
Was fearing of a possible escalation. They were not allowing the Ukrainians to strike into Russia, fearing of this escalation.
Quanto à escalada,
Would your administration allow Ukrainians to strike deep into Russia?
We're going to be talking about that. That's something we'll be talking about. You're right. It's an escalation, but we'll be talking about that.
Mr. President.
Agora se trata da escalada, mas nós vamos
Because
falar sobre isso.
it's a leader that we like. We like Viktor Orban. He likes him. I like him. It's a country that's a safe country. Done a very good job. He's been a very good leader in the sense of running his country. He doesn't have a lot of the problems that other countries have. And so we've decided that we'll be going to be with Viktor Orban, and he will, I think, he'll be a very good host.
President Trump.
It's in Hungary, yeah. We're doing Hungary, yeah.
Sim, nós estaremos em Hungria.
To be determined, but I would say most likely it's going to be a double meeting. It'll be a double meeting, but we will have the president Zelensky
nós vamos
in
ter
touch.
também encontro
There's a lot
bilateral
of bad blood
e vamos
with
estar em
the two
contato com o
presidents.
presidente
And I'm not
Zelensky.
speaking out of turn when I say it. It's a very difficult situation. You know, we just
Teve
settled the
muita
war
coisa ruim
after
entre esses
thousands
dois
of years, I
presidentes,
guess.
mas não posso falar
People
sobre
say
isso agora, é uma situação
anywhere from
muito
500
difícil.
to 3,000
Nós
years. And
tentamos
I was in
acabar com
rooms,
essa
as you
guerra.
saw, because you were with me, a lot of you were with me last week, with leaders that didn't like each other, but they were able to get along.
E eu estava com as pessoas
These two leaders do not like each
que não
other.
gostam um do
And
outro, mas eles
We
precisam
want to make it
conversar.
comfortable
Eles não
for
gostam
everybody.
um de
So,
outro.
one way or the
Nós
other, we'll
queremos que
be
todo mundo
involved
esteja
in
confortável.
threes,
E de
but
uma
it
forma
may be
ou outra,
separated.
ele vai
President
participar.
Trump.
Possivelmente nós vamos separar esses encontros.
We'll see what? Where are you from? Okay, good. Good, yeah.
De onde você é? Ah, tudo bem.
Well, let's see what happens. I mean, you know, what if? I think he will. I think that President Putin wants to end the war, or I wouldn't be talking this way. I think he wants to end the war. I spoke to him yesterday for 2.5 hours. We went through a lot of details. He wants to get it ended. I think that President Zelensky wants to get it ended. Now we have to get it done.
President Trump
também quer acabar, então nós vamos tentar fazer isso.
President Zelensky
Sure.
of Ukraine.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Our President Zelensky, President Trump,
primeira
just brokered
pergunta
a
para o presidente
peace deal in the Middle
Zelensky.
East that all Americans, both sides of the aisle, are very proud of. But to meet that deal, both sides have to make concessions. Our president has stuck out his neck in many ways to make a peace deal for your war as well. What specific concessions are you willing to make to end this war with Russia? Will you give up joining NATO? Americans have foreign war fatigue, and our president, as he said, we need our Tomahawks too.
Está pronto para ceder?
To me.
Yes, you,
Okay.
President Zelensky.
Thank you
What
very much.
concessions will you
That's some question.
So many
Thank
questions
you.
in one. Thank you very much for your question. First of all, I
É uma
think
boa
we need
pergunta,
to
agradeço.
sit and speak. The
Primeiramente,
second
eu acho
point, we
que
need
preciso
ceasefire.
sentar na
Even
mesa
now,
das
you see in the Middle
conversações.
East, it's
Precisamos
very difficult to hold
cessar fogo.
ceasefire.
E
Everywhere,
agora o
in
que está
every war,
vendo
it's
no
very
Oriente
difficult.
Médio
We want
é
peace.
muito
Putin
difícil
doesn't want. That's why we need
instalar o
pressure on
cessar-fogo
it.
em cada
We
guerra.
will
É
speak with
muito
President
difícil.
today what we need.
E
We understand what we
importante.
need to
nós
push
vamos
Putin
falar
to
sobre o
negotiation
que
table.
nós
And
precisamos
as I said previously, so we
para
are ready to speak in
fazer
any kind of
Putin
format,
sentar na mesa das
bilateral, trilateral,
conversações.
doesn't matter.
Nós estamos
Matter
prontos,
just
dispostos
peace.
para conversar
This is
em
important.
diferentes
And
formatos,
we don't speak
bilateral,
about
trilateral. Para nós, o importante
NATO
é
or
paz.
NATO. For Ukrainians, it's very important.
E
Of course,
nós não falamos sobre a
it's
OTAN, mas
our
é
decision,
importante, é
decisions
claro.
of allies to decide where we are.
But are you willing to get
Yes, but the
decisão
most important thing,
para entender
for
onde
people in
estaremos,
Ukraine,
mas o mais
which are
importante
under each day's attack,
para o povo
to have
ucraniano
really strong
que cada
security
dia
guarantees.
sofre de ataques,
NATO is the best, but
finalmente
weapon is
ganhar
very important.
garantias de
Allies on our
segurança
side is very
muito
important,
sérias.
and between us, for us, bilateral security
Os
guarantees
armamentos também
between
são muito
me
importantes.
and President
E
Trump
para nós,
is very
as
important.
garantias de
I don't know,
segurança
we didn't speak with
entre eu
details
e o
about it,
presidente Trump
but
são muito
this is
importantes.
the most important
Ainda não
document,
falamos sobre os
because the United
detalhes,
States is very strong.
mas é um documento mais
Sir,
importante
President Trump,
que os Estados Unidos,
President
um
Trump,
país
you are
muito
the
forte.
middleman right now, hoping to end this conflict. Who
Presidente Trump,
is doing a better job
você é
negotiating?
intermediário
President
nesse
Zelensky or
conflito
President
agora.
I think they're both doing a great job in that sense. We have to get it done. We've got to take some of the hatred of each other. You know, they don't like each other. I say that in front of President Zelensky, but I say it in front of President Putin too. They have
Eles não gostam um de
tremendous bad blood. It's really is what is holding up,
mas
I think, a settlement. I think we're going to get
têm
it
relacionamento
done,
muito difícil.
and we have to
Mas
make
nós
it long-lasting, as I said in the
fazer
Middle
tudo
East,
isso,
everlasting,
tudo
right?
isso, nós vamos
Everlasting.
conseguir.
And the Middle
O
East
importante é garantir a paz
is a much more
duradoura.
complicated situation. You know, we had
Oriente
59
Médio,
countries
Oriente
involved,
Médio.
and every one of them agreed. And it's, you know, it's sort of
Também
amazing. Most people didn't think that was
as
doable.
situações mais difíceis, mais de 50
This is going to
países.
be something I really believe that's going to get done. I had a very good talk yesterday with President Putin. I think he wants to get it done.
And President
Peter?
Zelensky, right behind you.
Presidente Putin
When we were
também
in
quer
Israel with
acabar com
President Trump
isso.
earlier in the week, we heard a lot about the difference in diplomacy between President Trump
quando nós
and
falamos com o
President
presidente
Joe Biden
Trump, nós
before him,
falamos
what do you see as the biggest difference in diplomacy
sobre a
between
diferença
President Trump and
da
President Biden?
diplomacia do presidente Trump e do presidente Biden. Qual
President
é
Trump
essa diferença?
has a big
Presidente
chance
Trump
now to finish this war. President Biden now
tem
is not
chances
the
muito
president, so
grandes
he
de
doesn't have
acabar
a
com
chance
essa
to
guerra e o
finish
presidente
this
Biden não
war.
é o presidente,
And
então
President Trump
ele não
is
tem
really
nenhuma possibilidade de
showed
terminar com essa guerra. E
for
o
the
presidente
world
Trump
that he can manage ceasefire in Middle East, and that's
mostrou
why I hope that he will do
e
this,
ele
and we will
conseguiu
also have such big success. For Ukraine, it's a big challenge,
conseguiu
and
cessar
I hope that
fogo
President
no
Trump
Oriente
can manage
Médio.
it.
E
I would say the biggest difference is one is extremely competent and the other one is grossly incompetent.
Sir, a few weeks ago in New York when you two met, you said that you think Ukraine could ultimately take back all the territory that it's lost so far. Do you still think that's the case, or do you think there'll have to be some sort of
You never
swap of
know. Look,
territories?
you know, war is very interesting. You never know, do you? You just never know. With war,
vai
war
precisar
and
de
peace, but you never
devolver
know.
territórios, mas não se
Please.
sabe. A guerra é paz, é difícil, mas você nunca sabe se vai conseguir ou não.
Yeah. Who are you with? Who are you with? You Ukraine? Good.
But Russia continue even using the cruise
Rússia
missiles and also nuclear
continua
capable ballistic missiles.
usando
Ukraine since
foguetes,
2022.
mísseis balísticos e são capazes de transportar ogivas nucleares. Você pode oferecer à Ucrânia, está pronto para oferecer à Ucrânia
Yeah.
Tomahawk ou
We're going to be talking about that. That's why we're here.
outros mísseis
Okay.
para igualar
Fair
essas
question.
chances? Sim, nós vamos
Exactly
falar
as
sobre
he
isso,
told
por
you to
isso
say
estamos
it.
aqui.
But we're going to be talking about it. Okay? Yeah, please.
E nós vamos falar sobre isso,
You said India and
nós
Hungary?
vamos discutir essa
That's an interesting. India and Hungary. It's an interesting combination.
Sim,
Huh?
Índia e Hungria é uma combinação muito interessante.
Well, India is not going to be buying Russian oil anymore.
Sim,
And Hungary is sort of stuck because they have one pipeline that's been there for years and years and years, and they're inland. They don't have
eles têm uma
sea.
situação
They don't have sea.
difícil.
And I spoke with
Eles usavam o mesmo
the very
gasoduto, eles
great
não têm
leader
mar, é
of
país que
Hungary,
não
and
tem acesso
they
ao mar,
are, it's very hard for them to get oil. I understand it.
mas tem uma
We
pessoa
have
muito boa
Hungary's in
na
a very
frente desse
interesting
país.
position because
É
they
muito
can't have
difícil.
ports. They're
A Hungria
surrounded by
está em uma
land.
situação muito
So we'll see what
delicada,
happens there. But India
porque poderiam,
will not be buying
eles não
oil
têm
from Russia.
portos, eles estão
And,
cercados
they've
com a
already
terra. A
de-escalated
Hungria
and they've
possivelmente
more or
não
less
vai
stopped.
comprar
They're pulling back.
petróleo da
They bought
Rússia.
about 38% of the oil, and they won't be
Eles
doing
estão
it anymore.
falando sobre
President Trump has been helping you in achieving peace in
compras de
Ukraine.
Who has?
petróleo, eles não
First
vão
Lady
fazer mais
Melania
isso.
Trump
Yeah.
has been helping in returning abducted Ukrainian children from Russian captivity. President Zelensky, do you appreciate those efforts? How do you assess them? And did you ask her to step in to help you?
No, she wanted to do it. She felt very strongly about the children, and she's done a really good job, I think, in
Nós estamos
bringing it to the fore. You know, we have a lot of children
pelas suas
involved. Now,
ações em relação
it's
às crianças,
some people say it's 20,000, and some people say it's 300. There's a big difference between that, so
Muitos
nobody really
dizem,
knows. But
provavelmente
she felt very strongly about the
70 ou
children. She thinks
300.
about the children all the time.
If you okay Tomahawks to Ukraine, what's going to happen if the United States is in a conflict and we need the
O que
Tomahawks?
vai
Do we
Well,
have
that's
acontecer
the
se os
problem.
Estados
We
Unidos
need Tomahawks, and we need a lot of other things that we've been sending over the last
Sim, nós
4 years
precisamos
to Ukraine. We've
desses
been,
mísseis e
we
muitas outras
gave them a
coisas.
lot. Now we have a different situation. We send it to the European Union. They pay for it and all that, and they have plenty of money.
Mas estamos na
But
outra situação agora.
it's beyond the money. We need Tomahawks, so we need a lot of other weapons that we're sending to Ukraine. One of the reasons we want to get this war over is exactly that. It's not easy for us to give. You're talking about massive numbers of very powerful weapons. So that's one of the things we'll be talking about. Hopefully they won't need it. Hopefully we'll be able to get the war over with without thinking about Tomahawks. I think we're fairly close to that. Yeah, go ahead. President, yeah, please.
Just to understand. So for today, of course, we want to finish this war, but the war is another technological war. You don't use just Tomahawks. If you want to target a military goal, you need thousands of drones. It goes together with such missiles. Ukraine has such thousands of our production drones, but we don't have Tomahawks. That's why we need Tomahawks. But the United States is a very strong production, and the United States has Tomahawks and other missiles, very strong missiles, but they can have our thousands of drones. That's why where we can work together, where we can strengthen American production.
So, just so that I understand, so you're suggesting kind of a trade. If President Trump okays Tomahawk missiles to help you launch...
Yes, it's about military goals. It's only about military goals.
Right, but then you would authorize some kind of an exchange where...
Yes, of course. Yes, we have proposition. We have big propositions with our drones.
President Trump, I don't mean to be brokering an arms deal here, but is that something that you'd be interested in, Ukrainian drones?
We are, yeah, we would. We have a lot of drones right now. We build our own drones, but we also buy drones from others, and they make a very good drone. I mean, drone warfare has really come to the fore over the last couple of years because of this war. I will say, there's nothing like the jets. You know, we knocked out a lot of drones in Israel. We were knocking them out for Israel, and we were doing it with extremely fast and powerful jets, following the drones and knocking the hell out of them. So, you know, we know a lot about the drones, and we know a lot about the great jets, the great ones. The ones, well, and the B-52s, which were totally they were stealth. They were undetectable. So we have a lot of different weapons. And, you know, I have an obligation also, though, to make sure that we're completely stocked up as a country, because you never know what's going to happen. In war and peace, right? You never know what's going to happen. So we're going to be talking about Tomahawks, and we'd much rather have them not need Tomahawks. Would much rather have the war be over, to be honest, because, you know, we're in it to get the war over. We're selling a lot of different types of weapon, as you know, to the European Union. We're not in it for that. We're in it to get it over. We're losing thousands of people a week. Thousands of people. Russian, Ukrainian, and mostly soldiers. Mostly soldiers. But we're in it to see that end. And we can end quickly, and I think we can. I mean, I had a very good talk yesterday. We're going to be talking about it. But I had a very productive talk yesterday with President Putin. We'll see what happens. But the war in the Middle East was far more complicated. We got that one done. And I think we have a good chance. I think President Zelensky wants it done, and I think President Putin wants it done. Now all they have to do is get along a little bit.
Eu acho que o presidente Putin também. Então ele esqueça de estar na mesa.
Yeah, I will, and I'm going to let Scott do that. But I think we're doing very well. I think we're getting along with China. China would like to have something. As of this moment, we'll be meeting in a couple of weeks. We'll be meeting in South Korea. Myself. I think so. It looks like it's going forward. I think so. They want to meet. We like to meet. I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and we're going to see what happens. But, you know, for years we were taken advantage of by China very badly. We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year to China. We really built their military, if you think about it. The kind of money that presidents allowed to be lost to China was just insane. And then when I came into office, as you know, I put very severe tariffs. So we took in hundreds of billions of dollars in my first term from China. Biden let that go because there was so much. He let it continue, but he gave all sorts of exceptions. And by the time you looked at it, Scott, I would say it wasn't the same thing. He would give an exception for anything. If you got up and went out to dinner, he'd give you an exception. So it wasn't the same thing, but I put on very serious tariffs. So we took in hundreds of billions of dollars, And then I left office, the election was rigged, I left office, and that was the story. Now I come back, and we are in a very strong position because of tariffs. We're in a very powerful position because of the fact that we have tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be in a very weak position. We would be in a weakened state. But with tariffs, we've made hundreds of billions of dollars, not only from China, but from others. And China wants to talk, and we like talking to China. So we have a very good relationship, and we're going to be meeting in South Korea in a couple of weeks. And I just got back from a long trip. I'm going on another long trip. And Scott, you want to say a few words?
Eu voltei de uma viagem pouco tempo atrás e vou fazer mais uma viagem daqui a pouco.
China did a substantial unprovoked escalation
A
last week.
China
We were unable to get in touch with them. Since then, it's been IMF World Bank Week. They have had working level people here who there have
nós
been meetings.
conversamos com a
The
China
Vice
semana
Premier, who
passada.
is my counterpart, and I will be speaking this evening at around 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then he and I and a delegation will
Eu vou
meet in
conversar com
Malaysia,
isso hoje à
probably a
noite,
week
temos
from
sobre isso
tomorrow
hoje à
to
noite
prepare
também.
the
Também na ligação na Malásia,
So
pode ser que venha amanhã.
again, I think that things have de-escalated. We hope that China will show the respect that we have shown them.
Eu acho
And
que
I am
nós vamos
confident that President
conseguir
Trump, because of his relationship
escalar
with President
e
Xi, will be
nós
able to get
apresentamos
things back
respeito
on a
para
good
ele.
course.
Is the
Acho que o
hope for that
presidente
meeting
Trump,
with you and President
graças
Xi
a
some kind of trade
seu
deal then?
relacionamento
Could
bom
be.
com o
Look,
presidente
I think we're in a very
Xi
strong
Jinping, vai
position. I think we're in a
conseguir
very
fazer
strong
isso.
position. We're getting, as you know, as of November 1st, I could move it up if I wanted,
Como se sabe,
a 100%
Em
tariff
1º de
over and above
novembro.
what we get now. So that would make it about
foram
157%.
introduzidas as tarifas de
And
100%.
China doesn't
Agora
want
estou
that,
fazendo,
and they want
estou
to talk.
pensando sobre
And we're
esse
talking, and I think we'll
57.
make a deal
Eles
that
não
will be good for
querem isso,
both. I
eles
think
querem
we will
negociar. Nós vamos
do
falar e
something,
eu
but you
acho
have to
que nós
understand,
vamos
we never got
conseguir
anything
chegar a
from China.
acordo
It was a
que
one-way
seja
street.
benéfico
For
para
many
ambos os
years, for
países.
decades, it was a one-way street.
Mas
And
nós
they
não
became
recebemos
rich
nada
because
da
of the
China.
United States. And
Foi
frankly,
tudo
presidents said,
unilateralmente.
let's be nice, they didn't know. They just didn't know.
o
They didn't
presidente
understand what was
disse-
happening to them. But I understood it. I understood it long before I ran for politics. I used to watch in
Nós não
amazement at
entendemos
how
o que estava acontecendo,
stupid
mas eu
our
entendo o
country
que está
was, how
acontecendo.
stupid they were. And we're not stupid anymore.
E eu
And
estava
that includes with the
acompanhando
European Union, that
como
includes
o
with
nosso
Japan and
país
South Korea.
era,
All we want to do is
era
be
bobo,
treated
mas
fairly.
agora não somos
But
mais
the
bobos.
fairly is hundreds of billions and
Nós
even trillions of
queremos
dollars coming into the United
justiça, nós
States. And
queremos que
it's,
todo mundo
our
seja
national
justo em
security
relação a gente,
is secure
mas
because of tariffs.
o
If we
justo
didn't
é
have
que agora
tariffs, we would have no
a
national
nossa
security.
segurança
So it's very important.
nacional é garantida graças a tarifas. Se não tivéssemos essas tarifas,
I'll be discussing
não
that, but I'd love
teríamos
to see
segurança
it ended before that.
Nós vamos
I
falar
mean,
sobre
I
isso,
think we
mas
have a
eu
chance of
quero
ending the war quickly
que isso
if
tudo acabe antes.
flexibility
Eu
is
acho que
shown
nós temos
on
chances
behalf.
de
And
acabar com a
again,
guerra
we're not losing
rapidamente.
people. The United States is not.
Tivermos
We're not losing
flexibilidade,
people. We're not
nós não
spending money. We're
perdemos
getting paid for the,
pessoas.
ammunition
Os
and
Estados Unidos
missiles
não
and everything
perde
else that we're
sua
sending
gente, nós
to
não
the
gastamos dinheiro.
European Union,
A
but
União
to
Europeia
NATO.
que paga
But it's
por
very
armamentos.
similar. If you look at the countries, I mean, it's very
E a
similar.
OTAN.
And we just made a very fair trade deal with
Mas
the
isso é
European
muito
Union.
parecido.
And what we wanted, and we made a very good deal with NATO too. You know, they pay for all of this.
Agora
That's
assinamos
not what we're in
acordo
this for.
muito
We're in it to
justo
save
com a União Europeia.
thousands
Eles que
of
estão
lives
pagando por tudo
every
isso.
week. Thousands and thousands of lives.
importante
That's why we're in it.
salvar
And I
vidas.
think we have a very,
Mais importante
I think we have a
salvar
very
essas
good
vidas.
chance of bringing this war
Eu
to a
acho que
conclusion.
nós temos boas chances
President,
de
your cabinet
acabar
has
com
done
essa
honestly
guerra.
an
Assim.
excellent job. I think that a lot of people could agree to that.
Thank you.
I'm speaking as someone who lost my father in a war, so I know the human cost. What would your advice be to American
eu
leaders,
sei
to world leaders, to neocons, to TV hosts
como é perder uma
who
pessoa
often speak about
próxima,
conflict in
mas o
abstract
que
or
você
strategic
diria a
terms,
outros
rather
líderes
than the
que
human
sempre
cost
falam
in human terms? Like
Look,
you have.
my only statement is
conflito.
we have to get together. It's a very small group of people. It's the president, and the president. Okay, three presidents. And I'm the mediator president.
Trata-se de
And I'm
três
mediating not an
presidentes.
easy
Eu
situation.
sou
It should be
presidente
easy,
mediador.
but it's a lot easier when people understand each other, when they get together, and when they like each other. We don't necessarily have that situation as far as like is concerned. Maybe it can turn around, maybe it can. But in the meantime, we'll have them keep a little bit of distance, and we're going to see if we can get it done. This is number 9, okay? This will be number 9 for me. I've solved 8, including the Middle East. I've solved 8. This, I thought, would have been among the easiest. We solved, President Putin mentioned yesterday Armenia, you know, all of the different wars. He said it was amazing because but the big one that he was surprised that we were able to settle was the Middle East. He thought it was incredible. He was very generous in that sense. This should be something we're able to settle. And I think we will be able to settle.
Ele foi muito generoso ao reconhecer os meus méritos.
Well, you know, we resolved 8 others. It's funny how people say that. If you get this one, every time I do one, they forget about that one. I solved 8 wars. Go to Rwanda and the Congo, talk about India and Pakistan. Look at Thailand. Look at all of the wars that we solved. And every time I solve one, they say, if you solve the next one, you're going to get the Nobel Prize. I didn't get a Nobel Prize. Somebody got it who's a very nice woman. Very nice. I don't know who she is, but she was very generous.
Próximo conflito vai ser no ano que vem, você vai ganhar o prêmio Nobel.
I don't care about all that stuff. I just care about saving lives. But this will be number 9. But every time I solve one, they said, sir, if you solve one more, you're going to be known as a peacekeeper. So to the best of my knowledge, we've never had a president that solved one war. Not one war. Bush started a war. A lot of them start wars, but they don't solve the wars. They don't settle them. And especially when they're not, when they have nothing to do with us. I saw almost, I guess, just about all of these wars had nothing to do with us. But I saved tens of millions of lives. The Prime Minister of Pakistan said, I saved millions of lives in interceding on Pakistan, and you look at Pakistan and India as an example. That would have been a bad one, 2 nuclear nations, right? So I say this, this is pretty much the last one, although I do understand that Pakistan attacked, or there is an attack going on with Afghanistan. That's an easy one for me to solve if I have to solve it. In the meantime, I have to run the USA, but I love solving wars. You know why? I like stopping people from being killed. And I've saved millions and millions of lives. And I think we're going to have success with this war.
Nós salvamos milhares de vidas e milhões de vidas e fizemos isso com sucesso.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Muito obrigado.
This is your 3rd time here. How different sitting across from the president is this time versus the 2 previous times here at the White House, and how confident are you hearing the success rate of solving these prior wars that he can get this war solved?
First of all, about suit.
Agora,
the same suit because the same president.
Primeiramente,
very simple.
Quanto
the next president will have another suit.
A meu terno?
Yes, about our relations with President Trump. I think we have important dialogues,
relacionamento com o presidente Trump é assim. Do meu ponto de vista, o diálogo é a coisa mais importante. Nós conseguimos nos entender melhor.
Very well about situation in the battlefield, and he knows a lot what's going on in the battlefield in Ukraine.
O presidente sabe sobre a situação no campo de batalha, ele foi informado. E isso ajuda muito. E existem vários detalhes, várias coisas relacionados com uma outra guerra, e tudo isso ajuda.
No, Spain has not come through. No, Spain has not been loyal to NATO. Spain has been, they're the only one. Everyone went up to, as you know, I mean, you were at 2% and they all went up to 5%, but Spain disagreed with that. I think Spain should be reprimanded for that. I think it's very bad that they did that, but that's up to them. That's up to NATO and Spain. Can they or not?
They cannot, according to the treaty, but they also claim that they are protected by the European Union umbrella for trade.
Well, the other people, many of the other countries are in the European Union too. They're not complaining, right?
Muitos outros países da União Europeia
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sim, por favor, continue.
I do. Yeah, I do. I think we carry a lot of momentum, a lot of credibility. Getting Middle East done was very important. Nobody thought it could be done. That was one nobody thought could be done, and we got it done. And a lot of that was the big hit that we put on Iran with respect to the nuclear they took. That was an unbelievable military maneuver, the B-2s, and many other planes involved, by the way, but the B-2s. Yeah, I think nobody expected that to happen, and you know, we had 59 countries involved, and these were countries very diverse. You had Arab, Muslim, Jewish, you had every kind of, you had every country, Christian, you had every country, and many countries involved, and we got that done. And we got it done pretty swiftly after we set the table properly. We had to set the table properly. This should be one that we get done. And I think the table is set properly here now, too. And it'll be a great honor. It'll be a great honor to get it done. And the Ukrainian people are great, and the Russian people are great. And obviously they have much in common, as we understand. They have a lot in common. So it'll be a great honor to get it done. Yes.
Então, para mim, vai ser uma grande honra acabar com essa guerra.
Well, I'll ask Marco to discuss that possibly.
Yeah, it's well known there's an ongoing narco-terrorist operation the United States has been conducting. As far as details of any recent strikes, we're not prepared here to announce all those details, but you'll get that information here very shortly. Yeah, again, I mean, we're undertaking these operations against narco-terrorists. That's what these are. These are terrorists. Let's be clear. And but as far as the details of any recent operations, when we are prepared to announce those, we will, as the president has consistently done. So you may get something on that later today.
Let me ask you, that was in a submarine, right? It was. We attacked a submarine, and that was a drug-carrying submarine, built specifically for the transportation of massive amounts of drugs, just so you understand. This was not an innocent group of people. I don't know too many people that have submarines. And that was an attack on a drug-carrying, loaded-up submarine. Yeah.
On Putin, is it your belief, as Mr. Zelensky said yesterday, that the threat of Tomahawks and costs, as Secretary Hexet put it, is that bringing him to the table, the fact that it's kind of a carrot and stick?
I don't know what's bringing him to it. I think he wants to make a deal, that's all. I can't tell you what's bringing him. Sure, that's the threat of that is good, but the threat of that is always there. Tomahawks are very dangerous weapons. They're incredible weapons. If you like warfare, it's one of the most accurate. You know, we hit 30 Tomahawks in Iran after the B-2s did their damage. We sort of gave it a little capper with 30 Tomahawks from a submarine, quite far away actually. But they're an amazing weapon. They're a very powerful weapon, but they're a very dangerous weapon, and it could mean big, escalation. It could mean a lot of bad things can happen. Tomahawks are a big deal, but one thing I have to say, we want Tomahawks also. We don't want to be giving away things that we need to protect our country. We have a very strong country right now. We have a strong military. We have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest weapons in the world. I want to get this war over. I just heard about it, a tunnel from Russia to Alaska. I just heard about that one. That's an interesting one. We'll have to think about that. I hadn't heard that. We just did a nice road in Alaska that's going to get us to a lot of minerals. And we have a piece of it, a good piece of the ownership because of the fact we made it possible. But this came up yesterday, a tunnel from Russia to Alaska. That's an interesting. What do you think of that, Mr. President? Do you have any ideas? How do you like that idea?
I'm not happy with this.
I don't think you're going to like it. I don't think you like it. I don't think you like it.
President Trump, do you think that Vladimir Putin, do you think that Putin is your gut instinct?
Well, we had a senator that wanted Remember, from Hawaii, she wanted a tunnel from the mainland to Hawaii. Then she said, well, we can't do that, so we're going to build a railroad to Hawaii. Do you remember? She's a current sitting senator, Democrat. She wants a railroad to go to Hawaii. Right? You know who that is, right? She's another beauty. Yeah, please.
On your meeting with Putin, aren't you concerned that maybe the Russian president is trying to buy himself more time?
Yeah, I am, but, you know, I've been played all my life by the best of them, and I came out really well. So it's possible, a little time, it's all right. But I think that I'm pretty good at this stuff. I think that he wants to make a deal. I made 8 of them. I'm going to make a 9th. I think he wants to make a deal. Well, I think that he should have won the war in a week. Yeah, I do think. And if we didn't give the anti-tank missiles, as you know, the javelins they call them, they got stuck in the mud. They would have been in Kiev very quickly. They were heading to Kiev. So, you know, in war you have a lot of luck too. You know, people, weather has won war, and the cold and the heat and all things take place in war. But that was a very interesting moment when the tanks started rolling, and some brilliant general said, "Let's go through the mud instead of going down the highway." So they got a little bit lucky. But you know where they really got lucky? I gave javelins. That wasn't given by Barack Hussein Obama. He gave them sheets. You know, there's a statement. Obama gave them sheets, and I gave them the javelins. And the javelins are devastating weapons. And that wasn't given by Obama. That was given by, because at the time it was Obama. That was given by me. So it was like one of those things. And you had hundreds of them. They're a devastating weapon. We have a lot of devastating weapons. I'd rather not use them. But that was a big moment. You know, when the tanks got stuck, they got stuck. And call it luck or call it talent. I'm not sure what you'd call it, but it was a big moment in time.
Do you think Democrats could give you credit?
Pode chamar isso de sorte, mas foi muito
I think right now the Democrats are really damaged, mentally damaged. They want to take $1.5 trillion and give it to people that invaded our country. They came into our country illegally from prisons, from mental institutions, gang members. They want to give them health care and take it away from our citizens. We're not going to do that. $1.5 trillion. They want to destroy our health care system. We're not going to let that happen.
Tirar dos nossos cidadãos, eles queriam destruir o nosso sistema de saúde.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but some interesting things are happening around the world, I'll say that.
Mas agora no mundo inteiro acontecem coisas interessantes.
In his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What should we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Porque ele não quer brincar com os Estados Unidos. Obrigado a todos.